capacity of our planet to sustain us. We're encountering many, many different issues, and our society is in deep need for a new, way of doing things and an alignment with the forces of nature. Will we be able to handle it? Well, people say, why don't you think that we would destroy ourselves and so on? Well, people think of human beings as being fundamentally warlike and so on. I think that when you reach these levels, when you reach this level of technology and understanding, and you attach your society to the fundamental forces of nature, the first thing you realize when you write these equations, when you understand this, philosophy, is that everything is connected and that you have an influence on the universe and so on. And that brings you to this infinite potential of energy and so on. Then many of the stressors that produces the wars and the dispute over land, the dispute over energy and all this, that goes away because all of a sudden you have almost infinite amount of energy. You probably can eventually produce gravitational drives, and you can fly around at least the solar system. You have all sorts of goods out there. I mean, if you go to the asteroid belt, there's all sorts of chunks of metal and all this, the size of continents and stuff. There's like all sorts of things. You can, all sorts of space, all sorts of exploration that can be done. All of a sudden, these stressors that produces war are the thought that there is limited amount of space and limited amount of goods. And as soon as that opens up, the tendency to war most likely reduces very much so. So I think that's one of the answers. How soon? I would say very soon. I would say right around the corner. I think we're very, very close. I think, that our society as a whole is actually being prepared for this. I think that this amazing orchestration, this organization you were talking about, George, that nothing is occurring by chance, but that there's an organizing agent, that we're just at that crest when, we're asked to transform our ideas of competition to ideas of collaboration, to realize that there's infinite amount of goods, that there's, meaning that there's infinite potential and so on, and that this transformation is occurring, and that the science that is going to follow with this transformation is arriving very, very quickly. As far as crop circles go, many crop circles are done by people. That doesn't necessarily make them invalid. I mean, people do get inspired, and what they may draw in a field may have some actually, fundamental universal significance, whether they know it or not. However, some of the crop circles seems to come from unknown source. At the beginning of the show, I was saying that, there's been modern evidence of things flying around, and certainly modern evidence of these things flying around where crop circles are found. And so, I don't know. If you were an advanced civilization and you went to another planet that was kind of low on the totem pole, and you wanted to help them kind of evolve a little bit, and you wanted to give them some suggestion that geometry and fractal systems are important, and that may be the functioning of the universe and all this, how would you do it? Well, if you can flatten crops pretty easily from far, you could make them nice little drawings, nice little pictures in there, and people would come across it and go, oh, where'd that come from? And, it would get enough attention that a lot of people would look at it, and it would kind of enter the psyche of the whole society, and eventually maybe you could help them evolve a little faster.
Nassim, what's our planet going to look like over the next 20 years?
Well, I think it's going to look fundamentally different from what it looks like today. It's changing so fast. I mean, how many people 5 years ago or 6 years ago or 8 years ago thought that today we would have an African-American president in the United States of America? You know, the changes we see everywhere on the planet, you know, there's climatic changes that are occurring and all this. I think that our planet and our society is going through a very fundamental transformation, and what it's going to look like in 20 years is most likely going to be fundamentally different. And not just different like our computer going to go faster and stuff like that, but actually I think we're going to look back at this period of evolution and think of it as archaic. I believe there's a quantum jump that we're about to make into a new level of consciousness, but at the same time a new level of technology. You know, many of these ancient civilizations talked about this time as a time of ascension. I believe it's literally. We're going to ascend because we're going to actually understand gravitational field and get off the surface.
Nassim Haramein on Coast to Coast AM, theresonanceproject.org. Thank you so much. For Dan Galante, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Ross Mitchell, George Nappy, and pundit and Art Bell, I'm George Norrie. Somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.